You, oh, may bless your happy lot to dwell safe on the shore, free from the tempest and the blast that's round a sailor's oar. It's little you know of the hardships, nor do you understand the stormy nights we do endure off the shores of Michigan. The Bannockburn was a ship, my friend, sailed away with 20 men, never came back to Port Arthur again. I said, Mayday. Sailed away in 1902, crossed the water cold and blue, never locked down through the Sioux. I said, Mayday. When the lakes are on the rise, the sailors say, I thought I saw her riding by the other way. Thought I saw her stacking all. Thought I heard the whistle call. Hey, hey, we're over this way. I said, Mayday. Now the Bannockburn was downward bound. She left the lakes without a sound. The weather calm for days around. I said, Mayday. Nobody knows just to where she went. There was no radio message sent. We looked all over on the lakes with them. I said, Mayday. When the lakes are on the rise, the sailors say, I thought I saw her riding by the other way. Thought I saw her stacking all. Thought I heard the black gang call. Hey, hey, we're over this way. I said, Mayday. Now I don't believe in ghosts, I guess, fairy tales and all that's left, but this one legend just don't rest. I said, Mayday. Old Bannockburn is on a trip like the Flying Dutchman myth. No one on that phantom ship will cry Mayday. When the lakes are on the rise, the sailors say, I thought I saw her riding by the other way. Thought I saw her stacking all. Thought I heard the first mate call. Hey, hey, we're over this way. I said, Mayday. Around the Great Lakes, wild and wet, there had been some famous wrecks, but this one hasn't ended yet. I said, Mayday. In the winter lay up cold when sailors sit around the stove. The Bannockburn is the story told. I said, Mayday. When the lakes are on the rise, the sailors say, I thought I saw her riding by the other way. Rolling steady as she goes, heard the whistle as it blows. Hey, hey, we're over this way. I said, Mayday. Rolling steady as it goes, heard the whistle as it blows. Hey, hey, we're over this way. I said, Mayday. The Bannockburn, that is a song that was written by Larry Penn. And before I go any further, I would like to welcome all of you into the historic Benton House here in Caneville, Illinois, courtesy of the Caneville Historical Society. And this is a program that I'm putting on for St. Tim's Coffeehouse. And it's a program that I call Great Lakes Ghosts. So some of the songs that you hear in this performance are songs that are from stories from people who didn't really believe in ghosts, okay? But they experienced something and then they wrote about it. And that's what this next song is. Lake Superior, and a book called Haunted Lakes by Frederick Stonehouse. Shortly after the Second World War, a couple of fishermen went out to haul their nets before a storm came in. It was very, very foggy. And this story is what they found out there in that fog. It was on a mid-September morn, just off Key Wana's rugged shore. We were steaming to the westerly, poured our nets to haul our gear aboard. Visibility was poor, a pea soup fog mixed with misting rain. It's conditions such as these have left many ships sailing into history. The fog grew thick and dark till it was fog no more, but a looming rusting hulk lay adrift, dead ahead, the direction that we bore. Hard over went the wheel, and we just barely cleared the wreck. Then we slowly circled round her stern and saw her sailing into history. A 300-foot keel settled low in the stern, twin stacks askew and her plates undone. I shouted to the derelict for anyone aboard, just the silence of the sea in response. From our tub I clambered o'er her rail that was coated in a slimy brown, the hatch cover strewn all about her deck. I felt myself sailing into history. Then I spied someone astern, the shadow of a sailor in storm gear. I called to him, but he just stared through me, pointing toward the pilot house in fear. A chill went down my spine as I entered through that pilot house door, for a withered old captain and his wheelsman were there, and I looked into the lifeless eyes of history. I asked, "What assistance can I offer you, sir? What causes you to be adrift out here?" "We are way beyond all help," he answered in a voice that was desperate, deep and clear. "Indeed, we are the wreck of the Hudson, lost many years before, and doomed to relive that horror again, the hour we went sailing into history." Just then this wretched vessel heaved and shook, In the blur of the moment, I made for the rail and jumped. Hit the surging water and pulled hard for the tug. Lord, I swam, Lord, I kicked, Lord, I bumped. When I hauled myself aboard, I flopped on deck to catch my breath and then peered over the rail and I saw her again, her stern slowly sinking into history. It was on mid-September morn, just off Cubana's rugged shore. We were steaming to the westerly toward our nets to haul our gear aboard. Visibility was poor, a pea soup fog mixed with misting rain. It's conditions such as these that I know firsthand of ships sailing into history. Into history. As I said, that story comes from Lake Superior. And not really that old. Not that long. Now, we're going to go down to Lake Michigan, and we're going to go to this place called Seul Choix Point. Now, that's Seulchoix. That's derived from the French language, which, if you were pronouncing it in French, my French isn't very good, but it's Seul Choix. But all the locals call it Seul Choix. And it's a beautiful lighthouse there, and there's a tradition there that on Labor Day, the Saturday of Labor Day weekend, people would get together, and this goes back over 100 years, for a picnic. And so the Historical Society brought me up to do a number of those picnics. And one time, Marilyn Fisher, who is the kind of the principal heart and soul of the organization for many years, we finished up about 6 o'clock. It was getting dark, and so we were just packing everything up. And I noticed everything was all locked up. And I noticed up in the lantern room that the light was let on. And I asked Marilyn, I said, wait a minute, you forgot to turn the light on. I said, no, I turned it off. I said, well, take a look. I said, oh, that's that ghost up there. And I said, really? Okay. And so there's this ghost that resides in that area. And that's why I thought I would include this next song, written by Carl Barron of Munising, Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, called The Ballad of Seul Choix. And it gives you a little of the French history of the area. And there's also words, adieu, bienvenue, Seul Choix is, we welcome this from God, our only choice. So, The Ballad of Seul Choix. Firelight at Seul Choix, where the French abode, so the story's told, sought a solace there before the storm. At Seul Choix, it was their only choice. At Seul Choix, adieu, bienvenue, is what the sailors said. And you don't do Seul Choix. As the days passed by, they built a tower high, flashing out into the evening sky. At Seul Choix, they built a tower high, at Seul Choix. And they laughed and danced into the night, while the fiddler played his tunes with delight at Seul Choix. They danced into the night at Seul Choix. Is what the sailors say. Adieu, Seul Choix. Adieu, is what the sailors say. Adieu, Seul Choix. And if you listen to the evening wind, you can hear their voices singing, yeah, at Seul Choix. Hear their voices sing at Seul Choix. Where the eagle flies across the open sky, Great Spirit, touch my eyes that I might see the beauty there. Where the eagle flies at Seul Choix. What the sailors say. Adieu, Seul Choix. Adieu, is what the sailors say. Adieu, Seul Choix. Adieu, is what the sailors say. Adieu, Seul Choix. Ballad of Seul Choix. Now, Seul Choix Point is located at the Upper Peninsula and on the south shore of Lake Michigan. Where you actually, when you're looking over Lake Michigan, you're looking south, so you're actually on the North Shore. And about 30 miles away from there, maybe a little bit longer than that, but south of there is a island called St. Martin Island. Let me get this. Yeah, I guess. Anyway, St. Martin Island is a story that has been handed down for many generations. And it goes like this. St. Martin Island lays to the entrance of Green Bay, just a solitary citadel of stone. The mariners depended on her beacon burning bright across these restless waters all alone. The shroud of a sad story surrounds this sullen space, and is heard throughout the region far and near. There is a history of haunting imprinted every place of the old lighthouse keeper who lived here. When the night is a jagged black and the waves are on the rise, from a north wind that screams down from an Arctic out, the glow of the keeper's lantern can be seen along the shore of St. Martin Island, ever searching This island isolation was really quite ideal for the raising of a family, some say. But the children's education proved a difficult ordeal when the nearest school was 10 miles across the bay. When the weather permitted, those kids would sail to school, take their lessons for the day, and then return. One day a squall came up, and they were lost without a trace. And ever since, the tortured keeper's lantern burned. When the night is a jagged black, and the waves are on the rise, from a north wind that screams down, from an Arctic howl, the glow of the keeper's lantern can be seen along the shore of St. Martin Island, ever searching. It was many years later, in a monstrous midnight gale, the lamp up in the lantern room went dark, and caught in the tempest, wild and running for the bay, the schooner Juno's helmsman missed his mark. She went up on the rocks, she was pounded by the seas, a death struggle in the surging crest and trough. And confusion held its sway amid wind and rocks and spray, and the last few surviving crewmen went aloft. While clinging to the cross trees throughout this blackest night, those sailors with all hope and bearings completely lost prayed to the Lord our Father to deliver them His grace. And each one bowed his head, their hearts they crossed. And off in the distance, that helmsman saw a light, just a bobbing soft green lantern, nothing more. So each one descended from their refuge on the wreck, and plunged through the breakers to the shore. They helped each other crawl through the clutching, crashing surf, and heaved upon the beach to take their rest. But that little lantern light went drifting up the path towards the lighthouse tower on the crest. When they reached the keeper's quarters and walked through the entrance door that had been blown open in the storm, they found the keeper in his bed, and he had not been dead, but the lantern at his side was very warm. When the night is a jagged black, and the waves are on the rise, from a north wind that screams down, from an Arctic hollow, the glow of the keeper's lantern can be seen along the shore of St. Martin Island, ever searching. Yes, the glow of the keeper's lantern can be seen along the shore of St. Martin Island, ever searching. St. Martin Island. Now, I've sung quite a few songs that are kind of dark and kind of ominous and that type of thing. And sometimes you have to lighten things up a little bit, courtesy of Shel Silverstein. And we're going to go down the lakes a little bit farther from Lake Michigan, down to Little Lake St. Clair and the Mermaid of Ontario. The Mermaid of Ontario had long green stringy hair-o, and a seaweed gown to wear-o, but she had no one to marry-o. Oh, the Mermaid of Ontario loved a big-mouthed bass named Larry-o, who lived in Lake St. Clair-o, under the St. Clair Ferry-o. Oh, the Mermaid of Ontario sent a seagull emissario to ask that big bass Larry-o if he'd consent to marry-o. Oh, no, 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 said Larry-o, my life I will not share-o. I'd rather play solitaire-o, sit around in my underwear-o, read books from the fish library-o. He said, you're so ordinary-o, and I'm extraordinary-o, and I dress so debonair-o. I've a fine vocabulary-o, I learned from the fish dictionary-o. Before I marry you, I'd marry-o a Guernsey cow from the dairy-o, or eat a poison berry-o, wind up with fish dysentery-o. Oh, the poor Mermaid of Ontario, 'twas more than she could bear-o. So she cried for a day, then she swam away with a yuppie little guppy named Gary-o. Now they're a happy pair-o, 'cause he's a millionaire-o. In his yacht in Lake St. Clair-o, they cuddle in a cozy chair-o, listen to his underwater stereo. And that big-mouthed bass named Larry-o married a cow from the dairy-o. She fed him a poison berry-o, he wound up in the fish cemetery-o. And that's the whole scenario. That's a favorite. I learned that from Bob Gibson, as a matter of fact. And a fun song. Get this in tune here. Just get a little bit of a drink of water here. Going to the bedroom. This is we'll do a little bit of a tour. This is the bedroom here with a nice rope bed. And we're in the main room here next to the stove. This is an old historic house. I've been fascinated with ghosts for a long time. Ever since I was a youngster. Like the ghost stories. The first one I ever heard was told by my brother Guy. It's called The Golden Arm, from the old Klondike region. But this is a story from Indiana. It comes out of a book called Hoosier Legends. It talks about Alice Gray, who graduated from the University of Chicago in 1916. She was intellectual and kind of an environmentalist, way ahead of her time. Became infatuated with the dune structure of Indiana along Lake Michigan shoreline. So much so that she moved out there by herself. Now keep in mind, it's 1916, 1917, quite a strange thing for a young woman to be out there on her own in those days. quite a curiosity. People would go out and visit her, and then all of a sudden, one day she just disappeared. Now, some people say that she was killed by her sometime lover, Bill Wilson. Others say that she died of wounds from a Prohibition-era raid. Kind of gives you an idea what she might have been doing out there. Others say she just up and left. But shortly after that, a few months later, a ghost appeared, and all the locals attributed that to Alice Ray, who went by the name of Diana of the Dunes. So this is her story, and kind of my homage to maybe someday she can come visit me. Diana of the Dunelands. Seagulls and plovers circle in the air. They're whirling, nipping the dancing the waves like they haven't got a care. They call out to her on the rising breeze. It flows along the pounding surf and through the rustling trees. The ending of the day is now in store. Indigo and starlit black descend upon the shore. Her presence can be felt within the wind. Her history imprinted on every grain of sand. Diana of the Dunelands. Diana of the Dunelands. Diana of the Dunelands. Come to me. Diana came to live here years ago, a refugee from society in the town of Chicago. They say she was just following a dream, to dwell amid the drifting dunes, a simple life supreme. Diana of the Dunelands. Diana of the Dunelands. Diana of the Dunelands. Come to me. Some say they found her on the beach alone. Others say they never found a trace, not a single bone. Still she walks these dunes each and every night. See her in the shifting sands lit by the pale moonlight. Diana of the Dunelands. Diana of the Dunelands. Diana of the Dunelands. Kind of a pretty image there, thinking about the dunes at night and all the seagulls wheeling around. And we're going to go back way north again to Lake Superior. And on the eastern part of Lake Superior, eastern end, is a place called Superior's Shipwreck Coast. Now, there's a place where some of you may have been to, a place called Whitefish Point. It's a very famous museum there, a lighthouse, etc. The Edmund Fitzgerald's bell is displayed there, and so it's a very, very popular place. And then about 50 miles west of there is a town called Munising, right on the shoreline. And between there, it was very dangerous waters, and so the life-saving service had life-saving stations about 10 miles apart. And this song talks about what happened back in 1920 when on a beach patrol, one of the fellas from one of the Crisp Point station found a sailor that was frozen in the ice. So they cut him out and they took him back to Sault Ste. Marie so that the family could claim the body, which actually never really happened. And so they buried him there. And but the story doesn't end there, because locals have seen him walking the beach ever since then. And this particular perspective is from an old-time lifesaver, or we would call them coasties now because of the Coast Guard, but in the old days they were storm warriors or surfmen. And this is an old-timer talking to this new recruit, and before he goes out on his first beach patrol. And this is called Riley's Ghost. When the wind whips up the waters along Superior Shipwreck Coast, many miles of desolation you must travel to reach your post. With your lantern you'll be searching for ships and sailors in distress. It's the duty of a surfman to bear witness. Back in March of 1920, west of Crisp Point in the ice, was found a frozen sailor. Old man Winter named his price. William Ryan was his name. Late from the steamer John Owen's crew. But since that day, some folks will say they've seen his spirit too. Oh, the winds will rage and blow, pile up the drifting snow, and the wolves howl in harmony through the night. He's still out there on his own, and you know you're not alone. As you walk the silky beach by lantern light. Oh, the winds will rage and blow, pile up the drifting snow, and the wolves howl in harmony through the night. He's still out there on his own, and you know you're not alone. As you walk the sandy beach by a lantern light, now some surfmen may boast and bluster about their valor and brave deeds, while in service to the sailors and those ships that are in need. But when the wind lifts up these waters along Superior's shipwreck coast, while on patrol, keep an eye peeled, Riley's gold. Yes, on patrol, keep an eye peeled, Riley's gold. Now I'm going to tell you a story. Now I know there's a lot of stories involved. Most of all of my songs are quite a narrative. But this is a story that comes out of the Saginaw Bay Journal circa 1883 about a vessel called the Chicago Board of Trade. And their captain, master, or the old man as the crew referred to him when he wasn't around, will say Jack Custer. And Jack Custer was quite a character. Now, typically, the Great Lakes captains treated their crews with respect because it was hard to get full sailors, you know. But not Jack Custer. And this particular story involves what happened aboard ship. And I can get into all the different aspects of it, but I'm not going to do that now. But I do want to tell you, if you're having difficulty understanding exactly all the maritime phrases and stuff, just follow my gestures, and you'll be able to navigate through the story pretty well. This is called The Ghost of Red Monroe. Come all of you true sailor lads, likewise you landsmen too, and I'll tell you of a strange event, and you may not think it true. On the Chicago Board of Trade, a handsome craft is ever made, I signed on Captain Jack Custer's crew. Now in those days the food was good, but work aboard was tough. We'd scuff down the boat on upbound trips, and downbound paint her up. When loading in Chicago we consigned for Buffalo, I met a red-haired Scotsman named Monroe. Now the whole trip down to Buffalo, the old man rode the crew, and he singled out Red Monroe the toughest jobs to do. But we unloaded our consignment and cast off for Cleveland town to take on a load of coal Milwaukee bound. But when we cleared that Buffalo breaker with a short pull from the tug, well, the wind died out completely. We sat there bobbing like a jug. So we dropped our anchor overside and rode Lake Erie's flowing tide till that hook set in the bottom, nice and snug. Now with this delay, the captain called Red and two of us aft, the topmast for a scrape down. Then the old man laughed. Red gave his bosun's chair a look. Round ragged ropes his fingers hooked. He said, I've been a bit rattling around this chaff. Now the skipper had been drinking, and he turned on him and swore. So Red climbed the main rig like a cat and proceeded with the chore. With the halyards bent onto the chair, he sang out to us, hoist away the air. But I'll never forget the look that his face wore. Now we handled that line carefully, for tender was the chair. We hauled him up, chock-a-block, hanging in the air. Red with his knife in one hand leaned and reached for the backstay. It was then that bosun's chair gave way. At first he fell all in a bunch till he struck the cross trees. Then he spread out like a leaf, floating on the breeze. He fell forward of the cabin to the deck, the starboard side. In a heartbeat, I was kneeling by his side. And the old man hovered over him, swaying to and fro. And I was well choked up to see a shipmate laid out, so I said, this is bad business, sir. Just then old Red began to stir. He raised his head and hissed these words out loud. I curse the captain of the ship, his wife and children too. I curse the Chicago Board of Trade, her owners and her crew, and every word choked past his lips was stained red with blood as it dripped. His head fell back. Not another breath he drew. Now, in 3 days, we made Cleveland, where a few men left us there, but with wages down, most stayed on to finish out their share. Well, up on through the rivers, there were 5 ships in our tow, and at Port Huron, we encountered a big blow. Now, that squall was too much for the tug, and some feller cast us off, but he didn't sing out to us first. We floundered in our trough. We dropped our bower quick and sure, but drifted as rain did pour and settled back into the schooner Moonlight rough. Now, the Moonlight lost her headgear, and our lifeboat was smashed in two. We're certainly a shaky lot with Huron in full view, for there is nowhere a man can turn, with no boat hanging from the stern and 500 miles of water to plow through. Next morning, though, the winds were easterly and the skies fair that whole day. By first watch of the evening, we were just off Saginaw Bay. I had the second trick at the wheel. The stars shone bright, as 8 bells pealed, and every stitch of canvas set in sway. The captain climbed out on the deck as the last ring died away. Then some spray caught me in the face, took my breath away. And I saw it rise up slowly, across the main, from the starboard rail, smoke white, transparent, like a veil. When it reached the gap in halyards, it was there, it seemed to stall. And then I struck the crosstrees and spread out, like leaves that fall. I glanced over at the captain, who was watching it also. We were witnessing the ghost of Red Monroe. Next thing I knew, the ship and all aboard were in the wind. The mason on past and the mizzen wolf were splintered in the din. The square sail yard in pieces and the booms were jobbing o'er. And the old man passed off face down by the door. Now they got the head sails over while I spun the wheel about. We got her back under control, though how I have some doubt. For one glance at the binnacle, what I saw took me aback. For we were laying on our course of starboard tack. Now the remainder of that trip passed without incident at all. And each crewman kept them to himself, recounting that close call. But when we reached Milwaukee River and hove to at the dockside, it was there we left that ship where she was tied. Now, my story's nearly ended, and you may not think it true, but I swear to you, I saw it all. You can ask Jack Custer too, for on the Chicago Board of Trade, the ghost of Red Monroe has played, and no true sailor would ever join her crew. Ghost of Red Monroe. Well, here's one more song yet. I really wanted to include this one. And it's a story that was given to me by Tom and Pam Evans. And they were sailors in Lake Huron. And it's a story called The Phantom Piper. And as it turned out, on Saturdays now in Kincardine, there's a piper that goes down to the beach, and he pipes the sun down as the sun is setting. And it stems from this incident that's recounted in the story. How this Scottish settler was coming into town. He was in a big storm. He was playing the pipes because he was trying to keep his nerves up and just playing this melody. And the captain was kind of thinking, well, we better drop the anchor. But then all of a sudden, from the shoreline, there was the same melody that was coming back. Now, there was a lot of Scottish people there, and so many times they would answer each other with the pipes. And unfortunately, what is interesting is when he got ashore, he went around and asked who's playing the pipes. Nobody admitted to it. So this is called Raise the Pipes in Glory. departed, but purely to his senses as he searched in consternation, wheeling through the waves and made dark desperation. Soon overcame me and I fell to my knees and prayed to God our lives to save. Then from out of this darkness I came to my senses. I thought about my homeland and the music of the gale. So I reached for my bagpipes, set the drums a-buzzing in the midst of this turmoil, a melody that wailed. Like an echo through the maelstrom came a melancholy answer, piping on the wind, and I stood there in amazement, with a deck of wash and heaving, and a hope for the future, and a safe harbor down the bend. Oh, the captain bore away towards the door in the distance. It filled my heart with laughter as the melody that played. And ever since that time, when I hear the pipes a-trilling, think of our safe passage through the storm and through the spray. Oh, my name is Donald Sinclair. I hail from Caledonia. I came to the new world to seek a better life with my wife and the children in a farm here in Kincardine. Hard work and persistence have kept away the strife. And at the end of each day I go down to the harbor. I look across the water towards the glowing setting sun, and I raise the pipes in glory to the heavens and the hillside, and pipe up my thanksgiving until the evening's done. Well, we've had quite a series of stories. I'm going to finish up with just one more. This is a poem by Lyle Myers that was given to me by Fred Nauert, who was a storyteller himself. And I put the music to it. And it's a wonderful poem called Phantom Ships That Pass in the Night. But before I go, thank you very much for joining me this evening for St. Tim's Coffeehouse. And if you can go to our website and donate some money for the cause, we would be very much appreciated. Also, if you like a lot of these songs and you would like to get a specific CD about this, there's a CD called Great Lakes Ghost that will be available on the website too. It's kind of a special mixtape type thing. So thank you again, and I'll leave you with Phantom Ships That Pass in the Night. Shimmering ripples on the legs below, the full moon's eerie silver glow. In the stillness of an autumn night, we feel weird shadows and translucent light. Strange forms take shape, tall masts and spars, like fairy wands, touch the twinkling stars. Then through the magic of mind and sight, we see phantom ships that pass in the night. revealing the mysteries of long, long ago. Lost vessels and crews lying down below return as ghosts and sail on once more towards that beacon light on the distant shore. The master of all ships is now in command. The course is charted to that promised land. Not a song breaks the silence in the pale moonlight of those phantom ships that pass in the night. Fair winds, thanks again.